Hello friends, welcome to my channel ELS English Literature Studies with Core Harpreet. Today I will discuss Virginia Woolf and I will also discuss her feminist approach. So let's get started with Virginia Woolf and her full name is Adeline Virginia Woolf. Time period is 1882 to 1941, right? Virginia Woolf is an English writer, feminist. She can be considered one of the first feminists, not in the politics sense of the term, but as an intellectual person who lived feminism on her skin, right? And also known as an essayist. She was a great essayist and wrote more than 500 essays and critique also, right? She is a prominent personality in the English literary spectrum in the years between the two world wars. One of the foremost individuals who had brought in the wave of modernism and literary feminism in English writing, right? And she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It is a kind of, we can say, mental illness marked by extreme shifts in mood, right? The very person suffers from mood swings ranging from we can say depressive lows to manic highs, and sometimes the person may also be associated with suicidal thoughts also because of this bipolar disorder. Next is her style of writing. Again, she is one of the most prominent literary figures of the 20th century. She constantly attempted to produce the novels in her own distinctive narrative style, right? And she is widely admired for her innovations in the novel. For instance, for her development of narrative subjectivity. She rejected the boundaries of traditional European narrative form, which according to her, or which she believes that it is too much artificial and restrictive. She was not in the favor of traditional European narrative form because of its restrictions, because of its artificiality. She is a modernist, feminist, a part of Bloomsbury group, right? For her, women were equal to men, and she hoped in a future of justice for the female side, and this point of view is clearly recognizable through many novels which she wrote during her life, right? And she wrote a number of astounding novels using the term the stream of consciousness. She used this technique, stream of consciousness. Now, what is stream of consciousness? Usually regarded as a special form of interior monologue, right? And it is characterized to trace a character's fragmentary thoughts which are in fragments, and sensory feelings, right? It is different from dramatic monologue where the speaker is addressing an audience or a third person and is used chiefly in poetry or drama. In stream of consciousness, the speaker's thought processes are more often depicted in the mind, or we can say these are addressed to oneself and is a fictional device, right? The stream of consciousness describes the unbroken flow of thought and awareness in the waking mind, detail of thoughts, what passes through a character's mind. It is a continuous flow of a character's mental process in which sense perceptions mingle with conscious and half-conscious thoughts, memories, in which sense perceptions mingle with conscious and half-conscious thoughts, memories, expectations, feelings, and random associations. This is stream of consciousness technique, right? Her famous works include, it is Virginia Woolf who pioneered the novelist technique which I've discussed, the stream of consciousness, wherein an entire piece of fiction usually records the thoughts of the main character, right? And her famous works includes Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse. And she also wrote pioneering essays on artistic theory and literary history, women's writings, and the politics of power. She experimented with several forms of biographical writings She also composed short fictions. Initially, she also wrote for the Times Literary Supplement, and her first novel was The Voyage Out. The Voyage Out, which was her first novel, which was published in 1915, right? She was conscious of herself as a modernist writer. Now I'm going to discuss Virginia Woolf as a feminist, right? I will not touch her works in this video. I will just discuss her feminism, her feminist approach towards life, right? She was conscious of herself as a modernist writer. She realized that a new era with new developments in technology warfare, it would be captured by a different sort of writer, and she proved it. She proved herself as a modernist writer, right? She has a power to convey the thrill and drama of the 20th century. The novels of generation before her, the Victorians, their novels focused on external details. They focused on city scenes, marriages, etc. But it is, we can say, Virginia Woolf who envisioned a new form of expression, right? Her focus was not on external details like Victorians. Her focus was on how it feels inside to know ourselves and other people. And she tried to show the emotional truths churning behind the eyes of her characters. She tried to get inside their heads and really show what was it like to be them, right? And we simply read what the character is thinking, moving back and forth in time. She was, we can say, one of the first women to write the truth about the female psychological state of mind in a male dominated world, right? She strove to see the world without illusions, and she pioneered the stream of consciousness also, right? Many of her works, we can say, were influenced by the time period, right? And it was through these concepts that she talked about almost every social or political problem that was occurring during her time, right? She determined to reform the novel. How she reformed, how she wants to reform, by creating a holistic form, right? Before that, they were only, we can say, there was only external details, right? But she determined to reform the novel by creating a holistic form. We can say embracing every aspect of life, right? And that was different from the Victorian novel. And her haunting language, her insights into different issues, wide-ranging issues like historical, political, feminist, artistic issues, right? Wide-ranging issues. And her experiments with novelistic form, we can say, altered the course of modernist and postmodernist letters, right? Next, she was the first woman who introduced individualization in female population and was one of the first who created a literature for women in the feminist sense, right? And in the era of the development of writers, she is considered as the most inspiring woman of those years, right? She can be considered with other important writers such as Emily Dickinson, and then we have George Eliot. She is one of the most inspiring women of those years, and her life was marked by mental problems, right? What were the mental problems? Her life was marked by mental problems that destroyed her feelings. She had two major mental breakdowns during her lifetime. Her first breakdown occurred after her mother's death when she was only 13 years old, and which Virginia Woolf later described as the greatest disaster that could have happened in her life, right? And it also provoked a huge sadness in her life. And the second breakdown was the sexual violence by her half brother, by her step brother, which was very common and little punishable at that time. And these aspects surely characterized her writing, right? Why I have introduced these two mental problems, because these influenced her writing. These two mental breakdowns surely characterized her writings and her way to live her life, right? And but we can say, despite her these psychological problems, her brilliance goes far beyond the conventions and the distinctions between the two sexes, male and female. And in her writings, it emerges the psychological aspect of human weaknesses that she loved to explore, helped by the story of her life, or helped by her through her real life, in particular by describing the nature of women, right? Her vision of life, we can say, it was strongly based on the emancipation and independence of women as men. During the Victorian era, the female population was literally forced by conventions, dogmas. Victorian time, we can say, Victorian time was not the right time for growth of women, especially for her. And means ladies are during this time had to take care of their families, their children, etc. They had no right to grow in their own way, right? They had no freedom as compared to men. And because of these social conventions, the woman had to fight for her rights. And during this period, the majority of women's literature is written by men, and this shows that the feminine subject was very interesting topic at that time, right? And Virginia Woolf was famous for her actual and free vision of women in the society, and had this clear and precise vision of women independence had a deep effect on the society also. It changed the current thinking through the elevation of the own identity. She she emphasized own identity. She was a pioneer of the early 20th century feminism. She raised the self-confidence of many women, and her book, for example, we have her book, A Room of One's Own. It reveals this concept, which concept? That free vision of the society, free vision of the woman in the society. This concept clearly to seek their own identity even before acceptance in society, right? And if I say that Virginia Woolf was a revolutionist, I'm not wrong that if I put this idea forward that she was a revolutionist. She despised conventional thinking, which destroyed the imaginative processes of all artists and writers, right? And she despised the conventional thinking, which was forced upon women. She was an ardent feminist at a time when women's rights were barely recognized, right? She displayed her views through her novels. She says that these restrictions were not only destroying women, but also these restrictions were also destroying the creativity, right? Creativity of women. She wanted freedom in every field of life, and she made it her life's purpose to achieve it, right? And next we have Virginia Woolf had a close association with one of the most renowned literary and intellectual groups of her time. Now, what is the name of this group? The Bloomsbury Group, right? The Bloomsbury Group, it is an elite group of prominent liberal and left-wing writers, philosophers, economists, artists, and critics from about 1907 to 1940, right? And this group was established by her brother Thoby and his friends, right? And the members of this group, they used to meet in Bloomsbury area of London to discuss issues related to philosophy, art, society, etc. So this group is named as Bloomsbury Group. It was, we can say, it was not a school of any particular thought, right? It was open to almost all the intellectual issues of the time. It was open to all the issues related to philosophy, art, society, issues related to all the intellectual issues, right? And she was Virginia Woolf. What was the role of Virginia Woolf in this group? That she was a co-founder and an influential member of the group, and they propounded the idea. This group propounded the idea, art for art's sake, right? And after completing her last novel, Between the X. This is her last novel, Between the X, which was posthumously published. She committed suicide on March 28th in 1941, and she left behind a suicide note to her husband, Leonard. So friends, this is all about Virginia Woolf in brief. I hope you will like my efforts, and if you like it, please hit the like button, share and subscribe my channel. And if you are new to my channel, please hit the bell button so that you can